Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be answering the question, what would they tell you if they could say anything? There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Dalmatian Jasper. Group 2 is the Labradorite. And group 3 is the cherry quartz. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Dalmatian Jasper. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get kind of a general overview of what they would tell you if they could say anything. Okay, so we have truth, I am presence, visualization, Five of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, Seven of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Nine of Cups, so more of that water energy. Two of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Page of Pentacles, so more of that earth energy. And Ace of Wands, so more fire energy. So I'm also drawn to the scales here on the truth. You could be dealing with a Libra, maybe you are a Libra or have that somewhere in your chart, or they have that somewhere in their chart. But this is really tying into the idea of somebody who wants to revive this connection in some way with the Ace of Wands, perhaps delivering some kind of apology, giving more to this connection than they had in the past. Somebody with the idea of the I am presence who may have been kind of emotionally avoidant before, but has now essentially come to a place where the distance that they have created based on this lack of emotional availability, based on, you know, maybe running from you, trying to kind of avoid their feelings or avoid this connection in some way. It's left them with a sense of really feeling out in the cold, wanting to lean in more toward this connection, to be very present with you. With all of this green here in the I am presence, this can allude to somebody who, you know, has kind of undergone a heart chakra activation. That heart chakra is cracking open. They are, you know, starting to really kind of, as I don't know if you can see that necessarily, but the image here of this face kind of looking down into this scenery, into all this kind of green and these trees. This is really talking about that feelings they may have been avoiding about you, maybe kind of deeply entrenched inner child wounds, residual heartbreak that they've been carrying around that operated as kind of a wedge or barrier between the two of you in the past, that this person is really starting to look at that. This person is really starting to introspect and to take that time to evaluate how they have shown up in this partnership in the past, their tendencies in romance in general, and what they are discovering. They're kind of getting to the root of a lot of things, maybe even some kind of generational sort of trauma or wounds that have been templated in them, again, based on their childhood, things they witnessed growing up, or what they're noticing to be patterns that have kind of repeated across a lineage, something that they are, you know, they've kind of been holding on to these things. They've been the person that has been that almost that next link in the chain with the Two of Pentacles, kind of doing maybe what they were really conditioned to do, not looking at their feelings, not addressing their feelings, you know, learning to prioritize or sort of having been taught to prioritize and really put the focus and attention on practical matters, logical matters, at the expense of emotions, at the expense of being deeply in touch with their own feelings, which really in the past and up to this point has manifested in, you know, this person not really giving very little, with the image here of this, you know, this Two of Pentacles, and it's just an arm, a single arm reaching out of, you know, a body of water, an ocean or a lake, something of that nature. And this really talks about, you know, just kind of a distance, a timid sort of energy that this person may have really had to kind of dive deep into the emotional waters with you, kind of at a distance, sort of extending themselves, but only so far in the past, not showing up fully. And they're recognizing that with the I am presence. They have really introspected on that, and they have come to this awareness that the distance between you, or even kind of a lack of emotional satisfaction within them in general, a feeling of almost kind of just going through life with a sense of malaise, a sense of discontent, you know, maybe the ways in which they had only been just giving very little, kind of breadcrumbing people, you know, just keeping things very surface level with people in the past, with the idea of Page of Pentacles and kind of this this very immature energy, you know, only giving a little, only willing to invest a little of themselves, either in this connection or again, sort of other connections, maybe familial, maybe friendships. People just having a very difficult time getting beyond the surface with this person. And they're starting to recognize that they have essentially isolated themselves. This is a very lonely energy here. And so a choice being made at this point in time with the Seven of Cups and the Five of Wands that they may deeply be in conflict about, to kind of break out of some of these patterns and these habits, to come forth to you again with this idea of an apology, or even, maybe not something that extreme or in depth necessarily, but just sort of in a changed energy and a changed approach to how they have been sort of viewing and showing up in this connection up to this point. In that introspection, what they are recognizing is that time spent with you, the depths at which you attempted to reach them at, as much as they might have pushed that away before, they're starting to really recognize that, this was kind of an invitation to a deeper experience of intimacy between two people. This is a deeper invitation to, really kind of access and experience in a tangible way the sense of satisfaction, the sense of emotional contentment and fulfillment, which as they are starting to look around, they are seeing as kind of lacking. They are sort of, this is almost the energy of kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Somebody who again might have been kind of emotionally avoidant, resistant to investing fully in connections with people out of a fear of getting hurt, maybe wounds of the past that they've been carrying around, things that, they weren't even consciously necessarily aware of. But that at this particular period of time, something has really been sparked within them with this Ace of Wands. Something has really, been illuminated for them in terms of sort of the role that they have been playing in these circumstances in their life. Any kind of, distance or isolation that they're feeling, they may have been in this energy of kind of projecting blame, feeling very overwhelmed and just sort of pushing people away. All of this needing to really shift and shifting. It feels very silently within this person. It feels that at this point, with the idea of visualization and this eye here, that they're really just in this observer energy at this point in time. They're starting to see, they're starting to recognize. It feels almost looking back over memories as if these are, movies or kind of film footage, sort of going back over this category of things, the dots really being connected for this person in a lot of ways. And these are truths that are not always easy to kind of deal with. Opportunities that may have been missed, opportunities for deep intimacy and connection with another. In this connection, in other instances, maybe friendships that unraveled due to almost an unreliable energy within this person. And kind of what has really sparked this, it feels again something to do with a heart chakra activation, some kind of an awakening that they have gone through that has kind of widened their perspective. It's almost opened their eyes, opened that intuition, opened that ability to introspect in a new way. With the kind of the reference to film footage or movies, that it's something to where it doesn't feel that they are necessarily consciously kind of looking back on these things, consciously wanting to kind of dive deep into those shadows and to really sort of see things from the other person's point of view. It feels that these images or, this kind of journey within is almost happening at a level that is greater than their conscious ability to choose. That these things just keep flooding in. These images kind of pop into their mind, these visualizations, almost like these kind of downloads or these sort of these clairvoyant or clairsentient kind of things where, they will see something, they will encounter synchronicities in their outside world, in the material world, and it will just be this domino effect that just leads them in. It's this ripple effect that kind of draws them in. Making associations between things that originally they had thought to be very unrelated, things that had occurred in the connection with you, relating that back to other sort of situations from childhood, from earlier in their life, other connections maybe that unraveled with other people or that they had difficulty really kind of maintaining this balance of satisfaction, that it was a lot of push and pull in that, maybe ways in which they had been treated like that by somebody else and had almost unconsciously taken on that template. It's the idea of hurt people. And that this, again, with this Five of Wands, it's very difficult to sort of to really digest that, it is very difficult to own that kind of this psychic insight that they are having into themselves. But it's a very necessary part of this journey. It feels like it's really just at the beginning stages, not a lot happening, or that's not really translating so much into the material world yet. They're just kind of at this beginning stages of starting to make sense, starting to really recognize and identify the path they have paved for themselves, and the ways in which they are starting to really reconcile and balance out. Is this in accordance with my highest good? Does this feel good? Do these actions or these inactions, what kind of results are these yielding? Does this make me, feel good? Does this make me feel fulfilled inside? Or is it something that is really coming at the expense of opportunities for closeness, opportunities for relationships, opportunities to sort of indulge and fill myself with that intangible wealth of connection, of intimacy with another person, on kind of an emotional level, on sort of an etheric level. There might be a little distracting of themselves that may be taking place at this point in time, where they're trying to kind of look elsewhere. They're trying to look anywhere except for in. But again, something's been cracked open within this person, and they can't help but to see these things. It's almost like the more they try to distract themselves and sort of fight or fend off this process that is wanting to take place, this almost next leap of the evolution that is taking place within them, the more that these sort of signs or these reminders, kind of everywhere they look outside themselves, ultimately only leads them within. It leads them into that heart space and into kind of that beginning stages of awareness. They may still have a lot of work to do, coming to terms with that, owning that, recognizing that, and having then an ability to transfer that out into an apology, into showing up in this connection in a more reciprocal manner. But the truth of the matter, what they are really coming to at this point in time, is the awareness that it's almost like the idea of it takes two to tango. Any ways in which they've been projecting blame, they are now starting to accept responsibility. Those hard pills to swallow, in terms of the ways in which they self-sabotaged. They were culpable in circumstances that they may have really blamed the others and just kind of, tried to sort of deflect that, avoid taking responsibility for things. That is all really shifting, and it's a transformation that begins within. It begins deeply within, and it's kind of, again, that first stage. It's this seed, it's that introduction, it's stepping through that threshold to change that is possible in the future in a material sense. So I'm going to get some messages from this person and see what would they tell you if they could say anything. Okay, so we have, I will keep the eternal breeze of darkness hidden from you. I will find my light because you make me want to be better. So this is a confirmation of that journey within, that introspection, that this person is keeping this process very close to them, not sharing this, not expressing this. Perhaps even this could be manifesting as those walls that they have up that you are sensing energetically. There may feel to be a tightening in that. Almost more of a constriction within them. A lot of this almost due to kind of the reflex that you are sensing as they are looking within, as they're becoming almost very shocked by what they are finding within themselves. Again, this very different approach where they may have deflected or blamed and starting to take that responsibility. And a lot of this is not necessarily easy to grasp. It's not easy to own. It's something that they still have this tendency to kind of want to avoid and push that away. Nevertheless, this process is taking place within them. It's a journey in and through to come to that place of balance and reconciliation within them first and foremost, in order to be able to, in the future, potentially provide you with more reciprocity in this situation. And they also say red strings tie our hearts, the bond that connects us. Nothing can break us. So again, they're thinking a lot about you and what has happened in this connection, seeing you with fresh eyes, recognizing you as that Nine of Cups, that sense of satisfaction, something that they really had pushed away. Again, stemming from, some kind of an issue, ghosts of the past, inner child wounds, things that hadn't been resolved within themselves. There's almost a sense too of like a stunted level of emotional maturity within this person, that they were very childlike inside, not in the sense of, looking at the world with childlike wonder, but in a sense of being very impulsive and almost reckless with their feelings, very, almost kind of quick to anger, or, just almost wanting to satisfy their own kind of emotional and material needs first and foremost, at the expense or just kind of while being oblivious to how these things might impact others. Not that this is stemming from a place of malice or nefariousness, but just from kind of this lack of maturity within themselves. They never grew beyond that point, almost being very deficient in that kind of empathy center. There's a sense of this almost deliberately being turned off or sequestered away at some point in their childhood, at some point in kind of their early development, maybe even early experiences of romance, or what they saw, how they were raised, how they were conditioned to be, or what they had experienced, caused them to sort of close off that heart chakra. Someone who, maybe is very deeply feeling and a deeply emotional person, but they never really took the time or were encouraged to, understand the nature and depth of their own feelings, their ability to really, perceive and exchange energetically and emotionally with other people. And so due to that kind of inexperience, that immature energy, they've kind of shut that down. They've shut that part of themselves off. And this is the energy of kind of making up for lost time, doing that catch-up work, almost fast-tracking on this level of, maturity that needs to happen by first taking a look at that. This connection having been very instrumental to that, very activating for this person, in the silence, in the separation. What is exchanged between the two of you energetically has really catalyzed something within them. It has cracked something within them open. The signs that they are getting about you, the synchronicities, these reminders, as much as they are trying to kind of avoid this connection and avoid what has happened up to this point, that this is almost that very important teaching point that pivots them in the direction of other archetypes that have been showing up, other ways, kind of again this idea of sort of connecting the dots, maybe how they treated you or how they made you feel, and reflecting on how that is really just a reverberation of how somebody else in their past, somebody else in their experience made them feel. Again, that idea of hurt people. And despite all of this, it feels that they're feeling really bad about this, which is, that again is an overwhelming kind of emotion, something they're not used to experiencing or not honoring within themselves. So there's this urge to kind of push that away, and yet at the same time, it's this unbreakable bond between the two of you energetically and at the soul level. They keep being brought back to this experience being that door that opens them to kind of this greater idea of themes that may have been repeating in their life, and sort of the things that need to change within themselves in order to be able to show up differently moving forward and to experience different results. And they also say, I remember back on the mountain, I go to remind myself before the pain in the dreamy clouds. So that reference to mountain can really tie into challenges, and again, thinking back on sort of where they went wrong in this connection, returning there again and again. As much as they may try to avoid this, they are drawn back to it. The time to fully avoid this and, to distract themselves is over. It's almost like divine intervention taking place at this point in time, having been cracked open from the inside out. That they can run as much as they want to, but there's no hiding from this internal process of change which is starting to take place within them. And they also say, you showed up for me again and again. The wheel kept spinning. 3 lives, 3 worlds. So that reference to 3, if this had been almost a third party situation, maybe with the 2 of Pentacles and kind of that element of juggling, this person may have made you feel like an option, made you feel very secondary, kind of left you out in the cold. They are seeing that decision with fresh eyes, that idea of the wheel turning, that what they had put you through may now have been done to them. That idea of truth in those scales also kind of reminds me again of Libra energy, of justice, of karma being paid, some kind of karmic debt that this person, even just by the act of observation, seeing things from a fresh perspective, not being able to blame others, but to really, almost stand in another's shoes for a moment, to be able to kind of understand very viscerally the feelings that have been created through their actions, that, also again, this idea of you showed up for me again and again, they keep being brought back to this, a period of avoidance, of just kind of moving forward and trying to deflect what has happened has come to a conclusion. It's the idea of almost, it's time to pay the piper, only, not necessarily in a vicious way. Although what they could be going through is, again, a lot of kind of the tables having turned, them, really experiencing what they put you through. Maybe that has been done to them now, or something has really kind of brought them to their knees in a major way, has been a reminder, has brought back these memories of kind of when they were the one who was sort of inflicting these feelings upon others, making others kind of feel secondary or, feel small or feel like an option. And now they have been made to feel like that. They have been made to feel small. They have been made to feel like an option. They have been made to feel like a choice that was not made by somebody else. And it all comes down to, within themselves, starting to understand the dynamic of what has, happened in this connection from a fresh perspective, how the investment that they may have made was not into something or not in the direction of, a very kind of fulfilling or stable path, but something which, might have again just been very surface level. It's almost choosing, the head over the heart, as opposed to kind of this balance and this reconciling between the two. But now they're in this process of kind of being recalibrated, being forced to sort of look and take ownership for their behavior in order to really be able to have that lesson seep into them. The repercussions of their actions, the gravity of words spoken, kind of the cost or the price of making people feel a certain way or being very inconsiderate of other people's feelings. All of this being part of a process of humbling for this person that is very necessary to generate change within themselves and potentially change in the future of this connection. And they also say, in this lifetime, we are destined to be married, to be husband and wife. In every which way, it is our eternal love. So they may be coming to this clarity, again, that 9 of Cups, that energy of satisfaction, this wish fulfillment. A choice was made in the past to choose something which was lacking in that capacity. Someone they might have thought was the best option, the best choice, and it was an unbalanced situation. This can also tie into if a third party was not the issue here, but it was really the choice between the path of love towards you, towards this connection, and the path of fear, pushing this away and kind of moving back into the comfort zone. Maybe focusing on things of a surface level, things that didn't, that lacked that emotional depth, choosing not to invest and open up their heart. All of that is really shifting. All of that is changing. They are recognizing you as this catalyzing force in their life that has really propelled them to this journey within, has really cracked them open. It's all the signs and synchronicities. It's everything that relates them back to you. Those constant reminders are really the pave stones on this different road, this different route from what they had been walking. There's a resistance to that. There's, they're trying to fight this. They're trying to fight that awareness that, this very kind of healing and nourishing and very almost evolved potential or connection that they've experienced between you is something that they've walked away from. It's something they pushed away, something they've avoided in the interest of, just kind of dwelling and remaining with the wounds that they hold inside, remaining in this very kind of stunted energy, which has kind of reverberated and is really being projected for them, kind of a glimpse into the future, that to continue down that road and sort of at the end of their life, that they would have been missing out on this richness of experience, on this richness of exchange. An idea of somebody who even, may have wanted to really keep their options open, and in the process has walked right by sort of the best thing for them. All of these truths are very hard to swallow. These are hard pills for this person to swallow, but it's a very necessary point in their journey of just looking at this, being almost helpless at this point in time to do anything, because there's so much growth and maturity that needs to take place. They need to look into this. They need to look deeply into the fire of what their actions have created, doors that they have closed, and sort of what that horizon looks like, in order to be able to create kind of windows of opportunity to change the circumstances, change within first and foremost, in order to create change exterior to themselves. They also say our energy is merging, unity is at hand, love grows stronger. So that ties in with that idea of, this husband and wife, this balancing of the light and shadow within this person, that we also saw with the scales on that truth card. They're feeling you energetically. They're seeing a lot of signs about you. They are being drawn back to you, drawn back to that point, that crossroads, that decision point where things unraveled between the two of you. It ties in as well with that idea of the red string that's bonding the two of you. This idea of a red string as well can tie into the idea of this person as your soulmate or your twin flame, a past life connection that may have been sort of part of that catalyst for avoiding this connection. It might have been part of that motivation, is sort of these wounds carried over from other lifetimes, loss that was never dealt with, that was so acute that it has kind of reverberated through time and space into this incarnation, where this person feels very drawn to you and at the same time very repelled, unable to make logical sense about that, and so they just shut the door to it altogether. This is this person opening that door, or rather the door being opened for them by spirit, being cracked open, and they are forced to look at this. They are forced to look at, what they have been running from is in fact their own reflection. What they have been avoiding is that, most loving and open version of themselves, parts of themselves that they had denied or ignored or were unwilling to step into, this emotional body, these deep feelings which are just churning within them, which have been unaddressed, kind of glossed over, avoided or distracted from in other ways as a tendency through their life. This ties into the idea as well that the energy work that you do on yourself, the work for self-healing, taking your power back from the situation, reaching for that abundance, cultivating abundance within your life in other ways, all of this is being energetically felt. It is that motivation for this person. The work you're doing may even most likely have been part of that cracking open, that heart chakra activation from afar, these changes from afar. It doesn't require you to be directly involved physically in their world, in their life. You are bonded at a soul level. What you do transfers to them, and so there may be a bit of resistance with that as well, a feeling of almost being dragged along on this ascension path that they had an invitation to participate in at one point in time but chose to decline. They are nevertheless coming along this path in through this process of growth. It's almost the idea of the easy way or the hard way, and this person may have almost by default chosen the hard way by avoiding this connection or sort of pushing you away. They also say, yes, we both feel the same way. Twin souls are mirroring. So I was just saying that about the mirror, and what they've been avoiding within you is really just a reflection of themselves, aspects of themselves maybe that they had projected as, or had come to believe to be shadows within them that, manifest within you, but are, sort of from a different facet that is almost components of your light. And this person being very drawn to that, being very drawn to see themselves from a new reality, and at the same time clinging to kind of the status quo, what they had come to believe, the structure and sort of the coping mechanism, the survival strategies that they had adopted or needed to adopt up to this point in time. And even just very unconsciously, just energetically, the invitation that you pose to them of seeing things from a different way, taking a different approach, feeling very drawn to that, but at the same time very much repelled from that process of change and transformation. Nevertheless, they are, embroiled in this process, in this evolution with you. As you evolve, they evolve. It's a matter of to consciously choose that, to surrender to that journey, or to be dragged along, almost kicking and screaming through that process. They also say trust in the universe, believe in the divine plan. So forces larger than the two of you are at play in this circumstance. From a higher self level and deeply within their, unconscious and their subconscious, they are aware of this, that the signs they are seeing are no accident, that this period in time, as uncomfortable as it may be, as difficult as it may be to look at their own reflection at this point, that it is part of this greater sort of soul plan that almost is beyond lifetimes. The two of you were sort of slated or contracted to meet with each other in this manner, in this lifetime. And it almost feels like, a clause on that contract. Should one or, both of you sort of avoid this, this connection and the opportunities for growth, these are the things that will follow. At a soul level, you were both very aware of this. It feels that things did not go according to that original plan, which you had originally agreed upon together. It feels that it was intended to be a smoother process, not without its own kind of mountains and challenges, but it feels that this person has almost taken this to the extreme in some level. They've been deferring or avoiding or deflecting a lot of this work even prior to meeting you, which is that where that idea of kind of connecting the dots on that Seven of Cups is coming up. What has happened with you is kind of bringing them backwards in time, or kind of into a larger sort of sphere, circumference of their life, and they're seeing kind of these repeating themes or archetypes, work that they have just been deferring, they've not been addressing, they've just been continuing to move forward, almost in this very stubborn energy down a particular path, with blinders on, just kind of pressing forward, very ego-based energy, very materially based energy, and kind of at the expense of these deep emotional waters within them that may have been crying out for some time to be addressed and kind of cleaned up or reconciled within them. And so as much as it may feel that things have really unraveled between the two of you, that this was not part of that plan, again, in some way, this almost feels like that contingency plan, that clause, that addendum was sort of added in, like the worst case scenario. If the two of you don't, do this work up to a certain point, when you intersect with one another at that point of intersection, if, it's not a cooperative energy in a more pronounced way, then this is what will happen. This is what will ensue, which is kind of that idea of this person almost being dragged along through this process, that there's a certain deadline of things that the two of you are meant to experience at a soul level in terms of your own healing, growth, and ascension in this lifetime. That, as you are kind of actively taking the role to engage in this work, follow those nudges, take that ownership, look within, create that balance and reconciliation within yourself. It propels this person, it brings them along, it helps them to fulfill their part of that bargain or contract, the purpose and the nature of what your souls came to experience in this lifetime together. And they also say, forgive me, I had to choose myself. I was not able to give you what you wanted. So this ties into the idea of, keeping a lot of this development and what they are really learning very hidden from you. They are still kind of in that war between the ego and the heart with the Five of Wands, really resisting this, starting to take ownership of what has happened, but not necessarily being at a point of emotional maturity or even just readiness in a physical sense. There may be a lot that's kind of being upended within their life, a lot that is really needing to be kind of reevaluated and sifted through before they have kind of a change within themselves or their circumstances, or kind of a better grip of who they want to be versus who they have been showing up as, to be able to present themselves to you in an energy and in a state that is able to reciprocate, rather than just more of this in and out energy. This feels like somebody who's almost keeping that distance deliberately, or, from that higher self level is being kind of guided to sort of hold back at this point in time, to kind of fall back, not wanting to show up to you and again, just restart that cycle another turn on that wheel of avoidance. It's a period of humbling. It's a period of really coming to terms with that internal landscape in order to be able to return to your life, to kind of pick up the part of the contract that the two of you are meant to be on kind of at this next stage of your journey going forward. It requires a lot of work within them, a lot of things they're going to need to do kind of internally and personally before they are able to, show up in this almost enhanced vibration of who they were previously. And they also say 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We still move forward in our twin flame dance. So that ties in very beautifully with that idea of this person almost being dragged along. The work that you do pulls them nonetheless, even if they're resistant, even if it looks like they're regressing into old patterns, if it appears that not a lot is happening in the material sense, not a lot is changing, they're just, maintaining the status quo and continuing forward in their life as they were leading it. When this connection sort of got off track or unraveled to some degree, there is a lot of change that is happening within them. It's this internal landscape that needs to be kind of manicured first and foremost. It's that cracking open. It's that introspection which needs to take place. A glow up which needs to happen within them in order to almost leapfrog to the next level of vibration, gaining some tools and awareness internally within themselves before being able to really present themselves to you in a different kind of energy. The apology that they want to deliver is still in the process of germinating. It's just a seed at this point in time that needs the opportunity to kind of be understood, be nurtured within themselves. Things need to fall away. Other things need to kind of grow or culminate within them and within their life before they can kind of move forward in a way that is meaningful and has, a positive or measurable impact in a constructive way upon this connection. So I'm going to get you some guidance from Spirit now about this situation. Okay, and we have flow. Find an easier path forwards, surrender the outcome, release your expectations. So all of that green in this card also again ties into that heart chakra energy. In the same way that you are, the work that you're doing is impacting this person, you are also being affected by what is taking place within them. You may be feeling this heaviness. You may be feeling a lot of sorrow or anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere, a heaviness, maybe even experiencing kind of a fluttering within your heart, a shift within your literal heart chakra. And after you've exhausted all kind of medical and, practical explanations for this, and you find yourself at that point where the only answer is something of an energetic nature that can be a confirmation that it's tying back to, that change or that shift within this person. You're sensing that, you're feeling that. So really the guidance here is to learn to allow this person to very organically do that exploration within them. They're in a phase of this journey. The two of you actually are in a phase of this journey where it's very important to take this time with just yourself, just your higher self, just spirit, just your ancestors and your angels, being almost sequestered from one another. The idea of a seed that is germinating or many seeds that are needing to kind of be identified and sort of crack open, not kind of moving out of that energy of any sort of panic or fear or a lot of attention that you are putting on, when are things going to change? Where is this person really at with their process? Trusting that what is taking place very quietly and on that internal and energetic realm will in time, and the time and nature that it's meant to, will ripple out into change in the material world. It involves this growth and evolution within in order to be able to show up in an evolved version of themselves in a physical sense, to be able to give more to the connection, to be able to contribute more, to nurture the connection more than they had in the past. So really, as this person is just kind of the ultimate lesson for them at this point in time is to release that resistance and to just flow with the changes that are wanting to unfold and are unfolding for them. Your guidance is the same way. Follow the signs that you are getting, the nudges that you are getting. things that are really surfacing within you, emotional waters that you have maybe avoided looking at. You can kind of lead the way in this sense, or, you know, kind of participate in a cooperative way with this person energetically. You doing your shadow work, you coming to that place of union and reconciliation within yourself encourages them. It kind of points the way on an etheric level and vibrationally for them to continue to do that same work within themselves. So I'm going to get some initials now, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got V, A, T, K, F, D, J, N, L, P, I, H, and Y. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer pre-recorded personalized video readings, which are sent to you as a private YouTube link. The turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. You chose the Labradorite. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get a general overview of what they want to tell you, if they could say anything. Okay, so we have Mother Earth, listening, I am presence, the Emperor, Page of Wands, Six of Wands, King of Wands, the Star, and Eight of Pentacles. So real quick, in terms of signs with Mother Earth, that is to me speaking about Pentacles energy, so earth signs, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, which we also have as well here with the Eight of Pentacles. All of this Wands energy, that's fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Emperor is Aries, and the Star is Aquarius. So this is really leaning towards, with Mother Earth and listening, this person is starting to really follow their intuition, starting to really answer the call of almost where their gut is leading them in terms of this connection. Of some love that they feel for you that may have been very intense, very overwhelming for them with all of this fiery Wands energy here, that rather than lean into this, they almost needed to kind of back away to take time to really process that. A heart chakra activation or opening that may have really occurred, in addition to almost kind of a kundalini energy, a kundalini awakening, a lot being activated and shifting energetically within them while in proximity to you after having met you, kind of in the aftermath of that. That was very exhilarating for them, but then at the same time kind of fear, ego and fear with the Emperor sort of took them away from that, trying to fit back into the box that they had been existing in, that they had come to know of the nature of love and connection up to that point in time. Something about this really being next level, really kind of eliminating that box, eliminating that kind of structure, containment of what they had, known love and partnership to be like, how they viewed themselves in the world, sort of transcending boundaries as well. And this idea of, kind of in that silence, in this separation of the time that they may have really just needed to kind of retract and withdraw from this situation. They've been digesting this. They've been processing this. They're coming more into a space of confidence with the King of Wands, confidence about the changes and the shifts within them. And it's very positive with the Page of Wands. There's this idea of wanting to kind of bring forth to you a version of themselves that is of a higher vibration or caliber than what you had been dealing with. These two cards with the idea, and here with the Emperor, of the man who's kind of standing outside of the box, holding this box, unable to really contain himself within it anymore. And then here with the Eight of Pentacles, and here's this man who's constructing a new sort of box, an open box where, there's a fluidity, there's a flow, as opposed to something that's a containment. This is something where, there's movement, there's room to stretch kind of outside of those barriers. So this really ties in with the idea of kind of the impact that you've had upon this person is helping them to reconstruct their view of themselves, their view of love, a lot of self-work that they are doing on at this point in time, a lot of healing work that is taking place. They're coming to a place of self-mastery as well, where the energies between the two of you, this connection, what has been really taking place within them, as overwhelming as that once was, it's something that they are now starting to get more of a handle upon, working with this energy, a desire, maybe something they want to express to you, of wanting to work with this, wanting to sort of develop this connection, see where this can go. A lot of downloads that they may be getting, a lot of ringing in the ear with this this listening card here, and kind of this vortex over what would be the ear on this kind of silhouette of a face. A lot happening energetically from this person. They're shifting a lot internally within themselves vibrationally. They may be getting surges of kind of this kundalini energy, even when they are kind of alone by themselves, feeling their vibration very much lifted. A lot of maybe psychic gifts coming on the ear chakras. This ear center is often associated with that third eye chakra, so activations in that sense. I don't know if an ear chakra is an actual real thing, but that came out, so maybe that can kind of talk about somebody who's starting to open up to the idea of chakras, of spirituality, of energy, and they're still kind of learning to navigate that language. Is there such a thing as an ear chakra? What's the third eye chakra? It's an exploration. It's a diving into kind of a level and a depth of themselves, and trying to really seek answers to what they have experienced with you and that they are experiencing within themselves, kind of putting these pieces together, reimagining and redefining, kind of themselves, how they move through the world, coming to understand, their energetic body, terms of a spiritual nature, these different concepts within themselves. The Six of Wands, this is a card of victory. This can really talk about a lot of battles that this person has been facing. Also with the Star, that's a card of hope that comes after kind of that energy of the Tower, of kind of, the collapse and the crumble and that dark night of the soul. That a lot of that may have taken place in the silence as this person really pushed things away and needed time to kind of digest and really feel into all of this, that they are coming out of that energy, and in a very positive way, what they are discovering about themselves, who they are kind of reimagining or reshaping themselves into being, is something that is very much in alignment with you vibrationally. It's very much in alignment with sort of what they are coming to understand of the nature of their true desires, the true definition of fulfillment. Someone who may have at one point in time really prioritized kind of material matters, mundane matters, but has now started to really value kind of these higher energies, this intangible wealth of self-awareness, of illumination, of moving in accordance with life purpose rather than just kind of following in the footsteps or what is expected by others around them. A life that they may have been leading that at one point in time was comfortable, but that they've almost outgrown this. And with confidence, they are stepping forward to kind of branch out, to expand their horizons, to widen their world somewhat. Maybe in, drastic and dramatic ways, a career change, an entire shift. This feels like someone who may have gone on some kind of a pilgrimage or a journey in terms of, kind of separating themselves from you. This person may have also sought to travel. They may have kind of traveled the earth, traveled the world, kind of looking for themselves, looking for answers, looking for resolution. This can also speak about the journeys within, the journeys deeply within self, into kind of those layers of who they are beneath the surface, who they are kind of at that core emotional level, coming deeply into communion with that shadow self, with both the light and kind of the shadow aspects of who they are, reconciling a lot of that, things they may have been avoiding for quite some time. They've really taken the time to kind of reimagine these things. This is a very positive energy, a very positive shift within this person. It feels that they have definitely turned some kind of a corner of maybe avoiding this connection, avoiding contact with you, avoiding a lot of this work within themselves, but that they've surrendered to this process, or, again, that idea of almost like physical travels have kind of sparked something or initiated something within them, where then, you know, their mind, their energy, their senses are kind of traveling deeply into those voids within, those uncharted waters, those kind of unexplored terrains within themselves. And it has helped them to kind of redefine and reimagine themselves. Someone who really might have been operating in pride and ego before is now in the stance of personal empowerment, recognizing strength within vulnerability. You know, kind of these boundaries that they have had to redefine within themselves. Values that they have that have been redefined, priorities that they have, the life they have been living has been redefined. This is somebody who is in this ascension journey, going through this ascension process, is participating with this, is co-creating with the universe. And as they are really co-creating in terms of their life, in terms of opportunities for themselves, what they are surrounding themselves with, what this material world looks like for them at this point in time, it brings them closer to this ability to, you know, return to your life, to show up, to nurture this connection, to nurture the seeds of potential that exist between the both of you in a more productive manner. To work with the intensity of the bond between the two of you, rather than, you know, to get very overwhelmed and sort of startled and need to kind of back away from that. They've almost acclimated in a certain way to these energies. They've really have, in the space that has existed between you, been able to decipher and differentiate to some degree kind of their own energy, their own autonomy versus what they are kind of sensing and feeling and picking up on from you. It might be just a kind of, with the Page of Wands, is sort of immature, this kind of beginner's energy. We see here, and it's a small child carrying that baton. They may still just be at kind of the fledgling stages of that, of learning to define, you know, energy, learning to define you know, soul connections, soulmates, twin flames. This can be ideas that they have really come upon. But there is effort here. There's consistency here. There is a willingness and an excitement and a curiosity to learn more, to kind of build that repertoire, to really sort of familiarize themselves with this, to acclimate themselves with this. It's a very hopeful energy. It's a very positive energy of somebody who, again, has done a major act of surrender. Has done the work, is doing the work, continues to do that work, and has achieved some major victories within themselves, a lot of sort of shadows that they have vanquished within themselves by incorporating that into sort of the montage or the fabric of who they are, this very intricate pattern of light and shadow playing within them, playing within their soul and within their life. Coming to a place of balance, of being more comfortable in their skin and their authenticity, stepping in the direction of that higher purpose, that higher imagining of who they can be in the world. So as it relates to this connection, again, these changes, this shift within this person, this evolution that is taking place, it is bringing them closer to this point of wanting to be able to reach out with this good news, with this victory, kind of share with you everything that they have learned, to restore or kind of resurrect in some way this connection. So the two of you have this ability to kind of build upon this in a different way, in a reimagined form. What may have had very finite kind of barriers and boundaries and limitations between the both of you in the past, there's an openness that they want to develop with you, that they want to work to cultivate with you, that they are first and foremost actively cultivating within themselves. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want to tell you? Okay, and they say, sometimes in this life, the hard lessons teach us to open our eyes to what we truly should be making space for. So that really confirms that energy of reprioritizing their life. If someone had been very, kind of focused on material matters, on sort of surface level connections, even just a surface level version of themselves, some kind of mask or illusion that they were projecting. This has really in a major way been torn asunder within them. They have shifted those priorities. They are almost making space or kind of sifting through some things within themselves, belief systems, things in their material world, maybe even what they are doing for a living. their views on life, on love, on spirituality, on energy, kind of on the nature of the soul, on the nature of existence, kind of the purpose of their life. All of these things are really being reimagined. And it's been a difficult journey to get there with that reference to hard lessons, and there's kind of an allusion to the tower moments that had occurred, the darkness that this person had been wandering in with the presence of the star here, that they have kind of come out of that. It may be sort of the first little glimmers of change, but these are significant changes. This is hope. This person has really turned a corner within themselves, gone through some major tasks, climbed some mountains. They've achieved some victories within themselves. It is kind of an energy of exhaustion as well. Some hard battles that were waged within them, but really a sense of fighting the good fight, coming to terms with sort of these aspects of themselves that they may have been running from or fighting within them, by learning to kind of embrace and incorporate that into the fullness of who they are. They also say, into the mountains I go to meditate and reflect. So this is a reference to what was coming through about somebody who may be traveling literally at this point in time, to kind of get a change of scenery, to find themselves, to figure themselves out, figure out what they want, to step outside of their box or their comfort zone. A change of scenery really helping to sort of refresh and renew this person's perspective, plans that they are making as far as sort of what they want the future to look like, how things can and should be reimagined. This can also tie into that energy of, that terrain within, the exploration of the internal world, that they are very enthusiastically engaged with. This is a very positive experience. And this isn't without its challenges. It's not without kind of these fears that sort of arise and these things that they don't necessarily want to look at. But this person is really experiencing a lot of victory from this. They're starting to really taste and experience the fruits of these efforts, which is encouraging them to continue to persevere with this, to keep looking, to keep pushing beyond these boundaries of who they are, and who they imagine that they're, that they should be, or what they imagine that their life should look like. They also say, I will keep the eternal breeze of darkness hidden from you. I will find my light because you make me want to be better. So this connection has definitely catalyzed and inspired this person to do this work they may have been avoiding or didn't even know, they weren't even conscious that needed to be done within them prior to meeting you. There is, again, this idea of, needing to kind of take this journey alone at this point in time, that this time alone, this time apart has been life-changing for them. It has been necessary for them. You are with them in spirit. They feel you energetically through this. It's a sense of somebody who may even be in kind of a hermit mode, and yet they are not alone because they feel your presence. They're having a lot of dreams about you, very inspired by you. They may even be kind of watching you on social media, watching you from afar, very inspired by, your example of changes that you have made, that maybe you are very vocal about, you're very public about these things, or even just something they see energetically within you. They recognize this glow up, and it is entice them to, and motivates them to continue on this process, on this journey within themselves, to continue to kind of break down those barriers and those walls within them, to continue to scratch beneath the surface and to dig, and to really come to that place where, the parts of themselves they were fighting or denying or trying to, keep contained, tucked away in a box at the back of the closet. They've opened that box. They are looking within that, learning to love themselves in their shadow, learning to love themselves in their darkness, becoming that light within themselves, that perfect contrast of kind of light and shadow, yin and yang energy within themselves, coming into greater kind of harmony and balance. Shifting their priorities, shifting what they have really surrounded themselves with. This can be somebody as well who is really in a process of kind of letting go of some relationships, friendships, maybe even romantic, or, even family members that have been very draining or counterproductive to this person, and just kind of creating distance between themselves and these individuals so that they are able to kind of keep the most of their energy to themselves to sort of direct those forces to this work that they're feeling called to do within. This is also somebody who may be kind of moving beyond some constricted lifestyle choices. Maybe addiction was a factor for this person, or an addiction even to materialism. not really seeking kind of that intangible wealth of spirit, but just somebody who was very driven by opulence, on an acquisitiveness, what they could gather, what they could, really collect in terms of money, in terms of success or status. Things of that nature, maybe even, romantic partners that kind of fed into that element of distortion. People who also were just very kind of surface level, were not interested in personal growth, were not interested in, kind of coming into this knowledge of self, but just sort of continued through life with blinders on, kind of just moving from one thing to another, considering kind of the mark of success by what one has, by how things appear. Somebody who may have been very surface oriented, and if this resonates with your situation of somebody who is in a third party connection, that those kind of signs or those sort of flavors might have been kind of the theme of that connection, and it's something that this person has lost the taste for. They're losing the taste for that. They're wanting something of more substance, something of more value. They are discovering substance and value within themselves, and it has led to this inability to resonate with, people that at one point in time might have been that direct reflection of where their priorities were. It's something that they're being very quiet about. It's almost a sense of wanting to do things in a dignified way, to do things right, maybe some loose ends that they're needing to kind of tie up very privately and quietly before they would take steps towards you, or that are sort of these necessary tasks or gatekeepers within themselves, a closing out of certain cycles in order to be able to sort of step into that newness. And we also have, you are the embodiment of a goddess god. This journey is my rebirth. So they are really in admiration of a glow up that you have gone through. They are recognizing the nature of this connection transcends logic. It transcends what their experience of love and connectedness has been up to this point in time. It's that idea of you make them want to be better. You make them want to exceed their own personal limitations, and to really reach for that highest version of self, to bring that from the inside out, to really sort of make changes in their exterior circumstances, to mimic and reflect how they feel inside, this awareness that is growing within them of their innate wholeness just as they are, things they may have avoided or been ashamed of within themselves. They're learning to love these, to kind of gather up all their pieces and parts, any ways in which they may have viewed themselves as kind of broken or damaged. They are recognizing themselves as a perfect mosaic of all these kind of different sort of shattered and scattered pieces, but that within that, it's kind of this wider perspective, that there is consistency in that, that it is in this fragmented nature of this person that wholeness from kind of a wider view, from sort of, stepping back from that vantage point of, from 100 feet up looking down, they are recognizing that wholeness within themselves where, upon closer inspection or from the view that they were taking previously, they only maybe saw, missed opportunity or just bits and pieces, these different parts of themselves that they'd compartmentalized. So again, raising their vibration, taking a larger picture, a larger view of the experiences that they've had, feelings that they have within them that they may have denied or not really recognized, even the feeling of overwhelm about this connection, the intensity of it and how they had kind of backed away or needed, just some space to kind of process that. That has occurred. That space has been invaluable for this person. It is part of this rebirth. A lot that is crumbling down in order to kind of be that phoenix from the ashes. They also say, no more frowning or strife. I forget my worries. You're my happiness in our small home in the woods. So they are most likely dreaming of a future with you, whether that is kind of a rural lifestyle, a little house out in the country, or just whatever your sort of version, maybe your mutual version of sort of contentment, that happily ever after looks like. It's this idea of, kind of bringing that attention back to the small things, the little things that are so important, worries and anxiety that they may have had, kind of this idea of future tripping that they may have really been engaged in, kind of trying to be very acquisitive, trying to gather resources, just kind of gather status, gather acclaim, gather money, gather possessions, things, people around them, all all that they had been focused on before, that is starting to really give way to this interest in kind of gathering experience, in gathering moments, in gathering, knowledge of self, knowledge of the world, knowledge of kind of the workings of human dynamics, knowledge of archetypes that have shown up in their life, themes, wounds, victories, patterns, all of this. It's this introspective energy, and a shifting of priorities as well. Also, someone who may have felt very overwhelmed by this connection is now leaning more into the sunshine of it. They're feeling a lot more self-mastery within themselves, and really are starting to be able to kind of credit that to whatever was sparked or initiated between the two of you, whatever was activated, that energy that still flows between you in separation and silence. And they also say, put your worries behind. Twins exchange heart energy. Feel at peace in your soul. So a confirmation right there with that, putting the worries behind and no more frowning or strife. I forget my worries. Somebody who is stepping beyond a period of really fretting about this, uncertainty about this. They have found this clarity. It may just be these first glimmers of clarity. Again, kind of trying to learn the language of the heart, or of the nature of a spiritual connection, the nature of who they are, really discovering themselves, putting to words the feelings that they have, or the true nature of their desires, what they want for themselves in a larger sense, the purpose of their life, kind of the meaning of their life. And there is definitely an energy exchange between the both of you, that heart energy, that heart chakra activation, that is kind of reverberating back and forth between you. They're very inspired by you. You are leading by example in many ways, even unconsciously, just your vibration, what they're able to see or even just energetically perceive from you. It's really encouraging them. It's almost that guiding light with the star that is helping them to just keep pushing forward, keep growing, keep looking deeply within, and kind of finding the lessons and the experiences, and seeking and cultivating blessings out of everything they've been through. They also say, yes, we both feel the same. Twin souls are mirroring. So again, that idea of very much an inspiration. Your glow up has been contagious to this person. They are wanting to kind of continue to do this work to reach you at the level that you are at. Ways in which they had been avoiding this connection, they have now surrendered. And we also have past life. The past returns to heal wounds and trauma to move forward. So this talks about that idea of introspection, looking back on the life they have created for themselves, and really sifting through what, serves their highest good, what maybe did at one point or really resonated with them that can't go forward into this new life that they are imagining for themselves. This is somebody who is coming to term with some wounds they'd been holding, seeing and viewing sort of these fractured parts of themselves from a different angle, reimagining themselves, stepping outside of that box and constructing something new, a new view of who they are that is independent of what others might have projected upon them, is independent upon what they were made to believe or told to believe, or even just kind of picked up and owned, even though it was sort of an ill-fitting image that they had of themselves. A lot of healing and a lot of growth that is taking place within this person, kind of evolving out of and stepping out of a previous skin, a previous kind of world they had constructed for themselves, or worldview. This is an energy of expansion and of openness, opening their mind to new possibilities of who they could be, who they have always been, and who they are in this very moment. And they also say, higher vibrations raise your energy and spirit. My darling, please heal. So again, more of that reference to, this elevation, this glow up. They are very inspired by the work you do. This is also tying into the idea with that, twin souls are mirroring, and the exchange, the twins exchanging heart energy, your healing, your growth, your shadow work. You're coming into a deep period and state of acceptance and self-love. It really reverberates to this person. It encourages them energetically, even if they're able to watch you on social media, what they're seeing, the change and the shift in you, whether you are very public with this work, with this process, with this journey, or it's something that you're just doing quietly. It reflects in your aura, it reflects in your attitude, and kind of what you are sharing on social media, how you are moving through the world. So they are really encouraging you to continue along the path that you've been walking, to take back your power from this situation, to shift your focus, to cultivate an abundance mindset for yourself, and to reach for, the best possible version of you, to reach deeply inside, to find that, to take yourself by the hand, and kind of bring that forth, bring that authenticity forth, so that the inside really matches the outside. This person really loves that. They're very inspired by that. It's a journey and a process that may be different for them, but which they are experiencing rewards from at this point in time. That energy of victory and kind of the glimmers of hope with the star, where, things that might have felt very overwhelming or they'd been avoiding that, they are leaning more into this. They are wanting to cooperate with you, even if it's from a distance at this point in time on this journey, of almost the two of you really helping each other to sort of ascend, to kind of climb this ladder out of a vibration or experiences that you had been kind of embroiled in, or that you had been sort of going through, and to kind of transcend that. And we also have, my darling, don't cry. I still love you. So they have never not loved you. You have always been in their heart. You hold a very unique and special place within their heart. You have activated something within them. You have helped them to reimagine the nature of love and the nature of themselves. This is, again, this idea that ties in with no more frowning or strife, and they're telling you to please don't cry. As difficult as this journey has been, and in the ways in which it didn't necessarily play out how the two of you might have intended, this has been a very necessary and enriching a journey of growth, at least this phase of this journey, this chapter where you're at currently. It's intended for the two of you to really step beyond your limitations, step beyond versions of yourself that no longer are of a frequency of what you are capable of. You're both kind of reaching for that higher potential in terms of your life internally within yourselves. And when you do this individually, and you're both kind of mutually raising that frequency, you can meet each other on sort of that higher vibrational plane. It's a new experience. It's almost becoming reacquainted with one another again, rediscovering one another again. And this person, if they had chosen the path of fear in the past in terms of this connection, they have definitely had a shift and are choosing the path of love. So I'm going to get some guidance for you about this situation. Okay, and we have trust. Leap into the unknown. Have faith and move forward. Believe you will fly. So this is a beautiful confirmation of this ascension energy of stepping beyond comfort zones and, not holding on to any kind of fear that you may have, that to release this person, to, release expectations, to shift and evolve in some way that, it's at the complete destruction or expense of this connection. You're really being guided at this point in time to sort of trust your path, trust your journey, trust the process that you've been engaged in, to, again, take your power back from this situation. From other circumstances in your life that have made you feel less than worthy, less than deserving, to exceed your personal limitations and those boundaries which have been set for you or which you have set for yourself, to really reach for that best version of self. Trust in the divine plan, trust in what you're feeling and experiencing energetically with this person from afar. Trust that, in the time and manner that you're meant to, your paths will cross again. Knowing that the work that you do encourages them to continue on their path of doing work. As much as they are, sensing and experiencing your vibrational shift in some way, you may be sensing and experiencing kind of a change within them, to trust in that. Not focus so much on what is being projected, what you are seeing in a material world, in the material sense. Trust that sensation first and foremost, that inclination, your gut instinct, what your intuition is telling you. Both of these realities are true, and it's about creating kind of a space within you for that principle of and. What this person is displaying, the silence or the distance that is happening in the material world, is just as real as what you are sensing energetically, what you are intuitively knowing is happening on that energetic level from the higher self internally within them. And it will take time for them to kind of fuse these two things to create that balance. But it doesn't have to be one or the other. It is both. It is both in this process of kind of ebb and flow. And when you move into that state, as far as this connection goes, you're also able to really trust and honor the journey that you are at. take into account where you are, the circumstances you find yourself, the environment, the obstacles or the opportunities that present themselves. That is just as real as your highest potential, as your goals, as your dreams, as what you feel you are capable of deep down inside, beyond all kind of the naysaying of the ego or the fears, but that core within you that believes in your own innate wholeness, that believes in your own potential and the actualization of your dreams. Both of these things are a reality, and it's a process of ebbing and flowing to that, creating that balance, reconciling within yourself. And in that way, you are then able to hold and harness that higher vibration, that higher frequency of actualized potential, which sort of opens the door. It's that invitation for this connection to magnetize towards you in that same manner. The two of you, you and this person, really in this tandem process, supporting each other energetically, while your individual journeys in the physical world may look very separate. A lot of this may be done very quietly and kind of internally. It's not something that's really projected. Maybe one of you is very kind of loud and vocal about that, and the other one is just sort of, silently changing and transforming within. It's still that consistency to trust that the winds of change are here. The evolution is taking place. At times it will be kind of leaps and bounds. On other occasions it will feel like a trickle, almost imperceptible. But trust in this kind of larger process and plan that the two of you did not encounter each other by accident. You've really activated things within each other. You've really changed each other for the better, in the sense that you have opened the door for that opportunity to create change for yourself internally. To see who you were. If you look back on when you met this person, and you may still be in the thick of that kind of, that darkness and that sort of distress, and it's very hard to see the positive benefits of this. It's very hard to see the blessings in this circumstance. You're still facing a lot of those shadows. You're still vanquishing a lot of those foes of fear and those dense emotions within you. But on the other side of that is that energy of victory. It is that energy at some point further down the road of being able to look back with gratitude for this experience, for the ways in which it shook you awake. It widened your perception of what is possible in terms of yourself, how you understand yourself, the relationship you have with yourself, your understanding of the nature of connection between people, the nature of love, the nature of the life you're living, and the dreams that you may have had that you deferred, things that weren't even a possibility for you. You hadn't even considered these things until that vibrational shift, until that activation, and the new world that opens up for you. That greater level of resonance, coming into alignment with a higher purpose you didn't even know you had. All of these things will come in time. If you are at that point where you see that vista, expressing that gratitude and trusting that this was one of the fruits and the rewards of this circumstance, of these difficulties you faced. If you are still in kind of the thick of that, trust that these feelings will pass. You will make it to the other side. To keep with that, trust in yourself, trust in this process, trust in kind of leaping into the unknown, trust that the way forward will be shown to you, and trust that on the other side of this process is that very beautiful bounty of kind of that union within self, that self-acceptance, that self-love, that awareness of self that wouldn't have been possible had it not been for these very extreme and powerful experiences with this person. This is very kind of beautiful and yet heartbreaking process of being shaken awake, shaken outside of your comfort zone, propelled onto a path you may not have planned for yourself, was very unanticipated, but definitely has extreme potential to kind of be the best journey you have ever undertaken. That journey into self, that journey into self-acceptance, self-healing, and self-actualization. So I'm going to get some initials for you now, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got Y, B, R, O, S, Z, X, N, G, F, H, Q, U, L, and C. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the video. If you like the reading, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer pre-recorded video readings, which are sent to you as a private YouTube link. Turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the cherry quartz. I'm going to start with some oracle cards and tarot to get kind of a general overview of what they would tell you if they could say anything. Okay, we have relationships, abundance, life purpose, the Emperor, which is Aries energy, Three of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, the Hierophant, which is Taurus, Ace of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, Queen of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, and the Knight of Pentacles, so more of that earth energy. So this is really tying into feelings that they have for you that may have been very difficult to avoid or move beyond. With the Knight of Pentacles, I'm drawn to this idea of they still love you. They have come to a place of certainty within themselves about who you are to them. There is this element maybe with the Three of Cups, where if they had felt they needed to kind of keep their options open, if they were still really in that energy of searching, trying to find themselves, kind of unsure of what it is that they wanted, who they really were, who they wanted to be, that they've come to kind of a place of conclusion with that journey. They've come to a place of sort of completion with that. A lot may have changed within this person since you were last dealing with them. This is somebody who is in a period of abundance within themselves, within their life, with the idea of the Emperor. This can talk about somebody who, you know, has really established themselves, who's experienced some major success in the material world because they have shifted their priorities. They have shifted what they were focusing on. Any kind of journey of searching, they have found that. They have found that purpose. They have found that meaning. They have found that certainty within them. If they were confused about their feelings for you, confused about, you know, maybe the intensity of what they had felt, unsure if that was enough to really create something stable and lasting between the two of you in the material world, they've come to a place of certainty about that. That the feelings they have for you, they have not been able to hide from these successfully. Everything they may have tried to do to extinguish these things, to close these things off, to avoid these things, ignore these things, you know, maybe choosing to focus on matters of the material world, to focus on that finance, to focus on that abundance. You keep reoccurring to them. You keep coming back around into their awareness. There's a sense too that as they have been on this path of finding themselves, they have also found you. They have recognized and they see this idea with the Queen of Pentacles. It ties in really well with the idea of abundance, ways in which they may have kind of misjudged you, misperceived the connection, or even, you know, ways in which you also have grown since the two of you are, you know, or were last in contact with one another. They're seeing you with fresh eyes. They're seeing you as somebody that, you know, they could have a very stable and lasting partnership with. This is the energy of wanting to build, wanting to come back in with the Hierophant in relationships and Ace of Wands and reignite this connection. Make some kind of a declaration to you that perhaps they withheld. They were overly cautious. They were overly kind of skeptical about sort of the nature of what this could turn into, skeptical of their feelings. With these two cards right here, I don't know if you can necessarily see this because it's kind of a vague imagery here, but on this Knight of Pentacles, he's holding the pentacle, but he's looking over at this card, at this Queen of Pentacles, and she's just standing in her own kind of abundance, in her own authenticity. She's not holding on to that pentacle. She's not holding on to expectations. Abundance just flows to her. There's a sense too that this person really feels, you know, in comparison with these two pentacles, that, you know, their life is more full with you in it. They almost feel at a loss, or they've really come into this place of appreciating and knowing what they had now that it's gone. They're seeing you with from these fresh eyes, from this fresh stance. There may even be a little bit of a fear of inadequacy at this point in time, not sure if what they have to offer is something that you would receive well, and so they could just be kind of lurking in the shadows, sort of hanging back on the sidelines, observing, watching you from afar. But they have a recognition now of kind of a spiritual component of this connection. with the Hierophant, kind of this divine quality to this that exceeds logic. It might not necessarily make practical sense, but they feel very drawn to you. They are recognizing and seeing and understanding a greater purpose to the two of you really having met each other, having activated something within each other. They are acknowledging very much on a conscious level, it feels as well, of kind of the continued tie or bond between the both of you, as much as they may have tried to resist or, kind of squish down their feelings or extinguish these feelings. Nevertheless, you've come to them in dreams. You've come to them energetically. Their heart is drawn back to you as they've had this time to kind of self-reflect. They are understanding now that the place that you hold within them, no matter how brief your encounter or interaction was with one another, you have made a significant impact on them. They set you apart from all the rest. They see you as very similar to them as well. What may have really been perceived as kind of these surface level differences, they are now recognizing that at the soul level, the two of you are very much conjoined. You are very much compatible. You are birds of a feather. You mirror one another. This is counterpart energy right here. And that may have really been what they were running from, is kind of this recognition of seeing themselves, seeing their soul embodied in the flesh of another. Almost a fear of commitment that may have been sort of the case before, a fear of missing out that may have really been the case as well, to where something stirred within them, something was really sparked within them, this awareness, this activation of having encountered, the potential for true and lasting love. But based on kind of the intensity of that, or even some ways in which this person was really operating in fear, in ego, in kind of these conditionings or these limitations upon themselves, that they were incapable of seeing that or recognizing that fully before. It was something that was very much this connection is very much outside of the box of what they have, been accustomed to dealing with. The two of you could have, some kind of an age difference between the both of you, a cultural difference, a difference in lifestyle or in approach, in life experience and experience in love, different kind of goals and values or dreams that you were working toward that this person almost tried to dismiss as the two of you being too incompatible to really make something lasting out of this. But in the time and space, it's almost like the well of love they have for you, this unmistakable feeling that they have for you, it has only grown with time. Their admiration of you and adoration for you has increased exponentially. In major ways, they have come into alignment with something within themselves, a sense of victory or accomplishment that they may have that has really brought home this very acute feeling of wanting someone to share with, wanting someone to experience and kind of exchange this joy, this satisfaction of victory with, looking around them and seeing maybe only superficial connections, looking around and seeing people that don't necessarily resonate with them on the soul level, don't really know who they are behind the masks, beyond the illusions, recognizing and becoming acutely aware of this deep, almost inexplainable compatibility within you that has really sparked something, that has really helped this person to expand their perspective of what is possible in love, what is possible in relationships. Somebody who has, in the separation and the silence, learned to kind of co-create with this energy, that it has really helped to fuel and motivate them coming into alignment with their highest good, discovering what that is. This is somebody who has come to a place of answers. Where there were questions, there are now answers. But it's a matter of not necessarily being sure how to kind of turn the page on this situation, wanting to proceed with caution, wanting to do this right. You may feel this person kind of lurking energetically. This can also be something where, they come back just with this small kind of offer, just a small gesture, just to kind of dip their toe in the water and to see sort of where you're at. How receptive are you to them? What they are recognizing about you and who you are to them. It's also filling them with this sense of a little bit of guilt and shame about having not been able to see this before, denying this, or kind of closing themselves off to this before, choosing maybe a more kind of frivolous or superficial approach to love. trying to keep you in the friend zone, when the truth of the matter is it's this powerful and profound kind of soul bond, this soul deep love that they have for you, feeling a little bit foolish for that, and kind of wanting to sort of tiptoe back in, take things sort of step by step, build gradually toward a place where the two of you can really experience, you can step into this new chapter of kind of intimacy, a new sort of dynamic between the two of you, wanting to take it from friends to further than that, wanting to kind of re-spark this connection, kind of resurrect this connection from the dead almost, a desire to kind of move out of a shadowy and distant period between the both of you, to take steps towards you, to step back into the light and the possibility and the potential of good times you shared, more of a sunny energy between the two of you. This is someone who has reflected a lot with this image here of Lord Ganesha on this abundance card. He is the remover of obstacles, that a lot of prohibitions or doubts that they may have had about you, about how this connection could work, doubts or questioning of the feelings they have for you, that has been cleared away. It has been replaced by certainty. Also, this imagery of the elephant, it brings to mind that they remember you, they recognize you as a past life connection, they recognize within you pieces of themselves. They see this kind of mirrored, almost entangled energy between your souls. They see you as an extension of themselves. They're remembering the good times that you shared, and there is this desire to move back in that direction, to exceed the limitations that they have placed between the two of you, to kind of climb out of the parameters, with these two kind of imageries of boxes, the lid being lifted, the box being kind of lifted up and getting ready to be thrown off, to be cast away. Any kind of ways in which they maybe blocked you, put up boundaries, even just kind of emotionally withdrawing into themselves or distancing themselves, appearing distant or literally being distant in this circumstance. There's a desire to create some openness, open up the lines of communication, move back towards you, reintroduce themselves into your life, in an energy that is, it's an energy of certainty and confidence. It's an energy of an abundance mindset, where there was doubt and where there was lack before. This has been replaced with certainty. Certainty that the feelings they have for you are real. Certainty that even as much as kind of the future, what lies on the other side of that is unknown. A certainty that this connection is worth the effort, worth the steps that it takes to kind of reach that potential where the two of you can kind of clear away the past, kind of clean up what has happened between the both of you, and walk in tandem toward the future of what this connection can develop into. There's a union that has been achieved within this person internally and at the higher self level. And it is at that point of now that kind of change and that evolution that was needing to take place within them. They're at this point of readiness of kind of bringing that out into change in the material circumstances between the both of you. Not just wanting to kind of dwell in that energy of spirit and that kind of inner knowing and wanting to just kind of keep this to themselves, although they may still be sort of lurking on the outskirts. But these two pentacle cards and kind of moving from the knight to the queen does speak to that evolution. It does speak to taking that seed of interest, or this drive that they have towards you, and expressing that, doing something with that, planting that, nourishing that, and helping that to grow into the fullest potential, or to kind of evolve the connection beyond where things stand currently. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, and they say, I look to the stars at night and know we share the same sky. We'll always lead back to one another. So this is the energy of somebody who has been on a journey into self, a journey down the road of avoidance and questioning and doubt. They have come to a place of completion and resolution with that. With the energy of the star, this is hopefulness. There is hope that this person has, that they, are kind of building within themselves, that this connection can be salvaged, can be resurrected, that the two of you can move out of the darkness of disconnect or a lack of communication and can move toward sort of brighter times, rebuilding this, or stepping again more into that sunlight of the better times that you once shared. They also say, my memories of us, emotions swirl in my heart. The cycles of this pain, I can feel us healing. So this is an acknowledgement of that entwined nature of your souls. They feel you as a companion on this journey. They have felt you with them through this process of healing. They feel deeply entwined with your soul. And this is something where they are wanting to take this out of that realm of spirit and contemplation, just thinking about this and do something, heal this connection, offer that apology, offer that communication, take down the boundaries and the restrictions and the barriers and the blocks, and open this up so that the energy can more freely flow between you, so that you can rediscover one another, so that you can reimagine and expand the possibilities of what can be achieved in a material sense between the two of you. They also say, I share my passion and my heaven with you. My spirit is truly happy for it. So that's a confirmation there of somebody who might have experienced some abundance, kind of an uptick in growth in their material world, in their sense of self, aligning with their higher purpose, their life purpose, which has yielded some very positive things. There's this energy of wanting to share that with you, share that good news with you, feeling almost very alone in a way with these victories, that it's just not as sweet. The people that are around them, maybe just more surface level connections, that it doesn't feel as good sharing these victories with the people that are around them. Their soul is calling for you. Their soul is really urging them to kind of move in the direction of the two of you being by each other's side, a sense that you are stronger together, a sense of this contentment, this deep soul contentment within them. They have been unable to find that or replicate that in other circumstances. For all the questions that they have, the answer always comes down to you. They say, you're magical, you inspire. I would not be here today if it were not for your love. So they are looking to you as an example energetically, any kind of glow up, any kind of shift that you've had in your life, abundance you've been created or creating for yourself that you have created, material abundance, a spiritual abundance, an abundance of self-love, the ways in which you've had a glow up, you've had a shift, you've taken your power back from this circumstance, you've healed, you've stepped out of that kind of lack mentality and, moving in the direction of a better vibration, better times for yourself. If this person, again, there's this energy of kind of lurking off in the distance, not stepping fully out into the light, but kind of remaining in that sort of shadow on the peripheral, on the outskirts. Maybe just kind of putting their feelers out very, very kind of delicately. Indications you may have that they're kind of there and they're observing and they're watching, maybe a fake profile or just little innuendos that they are kind of giving, or indications that, they know more about your situation and are more connected to their heart and their feelings for you than they have admitted up to this point in time. That they're very inspired by what they're seeing within you. They're seeing you standing in your power, in your confidence, in your abundance, and it's drawing them towards you. There's also this energy of wanting to leap forward but restraining oneself, either again due to some kind of doubts or feelings of inadequacy, or wanting to really do things right, wanting to really present something to you that you will take seriously, not wanting to leap before they're ready, but kind of take things step by step, but moving at a consistent pace towards you, towards this connection, feeling very connected to you energetically, very in tandem, where they may have only seen differences, or maybe the goals and dreams you had at one time were very different from one another. There's a symbiosis at this point in time. You inspire this person to keep pushing past their own limitations they placed, or limitations limitations within themselves, to exceed these boundaries. You're encouraging them to take action, to move out of this silence. Any way in which you've just been standing in your power, you've discontinued the chase, you've redirected that focus onto yourself and your own abundance. It has motivated this person to take actions, to move out of this energy of running, and they have had that course correction, that 180-degree shift, and they're kind of right on that brink of sort of reaching out, offering something, thinking about this, contemplating this, strategizing about what that could look like. And they also say, you are my queen. The intense passion I feel towards you, nothing can compare. So fits in very well with this Queen of Pentacles energy. They're seeing you as wish fulfillment, as a very abundant individual, very abundant with what you've created in your life. This is the energy of somebody who's almost your biggest fan, albeit silently. Kind of that silent recognition, very much in admiration of you, very drawn towards you, but feeling this need to kind of restrain themselves, to take things slowly, to not rush in, not come in impulsively, but come in a very measured way, in a very solid way. A feeling that they may only have one chance to return, an uncertainty if you will even entertain that. And so kind of steps that are being taken, maybe a little bit of over planning to try and get things exactly right, kind of looking at this from all angles and to see, how can they really work with the circumstances that they've created, with the circumstances that now exist within your life, ways in which you might be more inaccessible to them, or have, again, kind of taken your power back. You're a little more restrained and controlled when it comes to this connection than you may have been in the past. And all of that it's again kind of adding to this hunger, this desire that they have. They are liking what they are seeing. They are liking what they are sensing energetically within you, this very powerful and confident energy that you exude, that might be a little bit intimidating, but it very much draws them in. And we also have true love begins where you feel it inside you, raising self-worth. So this ties in again with that idea of the abundance mindset you have cultivated. They are very impressed by this. They are very attracted to this. The work you have done on yourself to release expectations, to take your power back, to heal yourself, to cultivate abundance, perhaps literally for yourself. Some kind of a shift in what you do professionally and kind of the life that you have built for yourself. And they're seeing kind of from afar, at least, are sensing energetically, if it's something that you're not very public about, kind of the benefits of that you are really reaping the rewards of these seeds that you have tended within yourself, that you have planted in your life. Ways in which you are co-creating with this energy, this bond between the both of you, where it may have been very much feeding into the idea of hoping that this person would return, hoping they'd recognize your value, that they'd see the light. And at a certain point, if you kind of detached from that energy and that exchange still exists between the both of you, and it feels for a lot of you, you really have discovered, even kind of unconsciously, it almost feels very instinctual, ways to kind of utilize this energy exchange as fuel, as like a battery to enhance other things that you're doing. You and this person are co-creating with one another energetically, even from a distance, even from afar. You're enhancing your journey with each other, even in the separation and the silence. And it's something that has really, this person is seeing you with fresh eyes, not because of the abundance that you are standing in or that you are stepping into, but it's almost like a lack mentality within them that caused them to only look at the perceived differences and difficulties in this connection. They have healed or transcended that in a way to where they are now able to recognize the possibility and the potential that exists here. And it feels like something where, the reward now is outweighing the risk, where previously it might have just been quite the opposite, where they were feeling or perceiving that the risk of this connection outweighed the potential reward. Something has shifted within them. They've almost turned the tables on themselves in this circumstance. Someone who was running is now in this energy of pursuit. They also say, I feel your anger. Please find it in your heart to forgive me. So this may be a little bit of what is keeping them kind of in that lurking energy, kind of on the distance, on the outskirts, a recognition that they have, now that they have come to terms with who you are to them, the importance of this connection, this love that exceeds all others and that really helps them to kind of unlock the fullest potential of themselves and what love can be. There's a feeling of they're very frustrated with themselves for not having seen this sooner, a sense of that they have this recognition. They are now able to perceive energetically even or, just kind of theorize about some anger you would have toward them, whether this is something that you have healed completely or that still kind of exists within you. They are able to perceive that, or they anticipate that that would be there. And this is a barrier that they are needing to cross, to move forward anyway, despite that unknowing, despite that possibility that you may slam the door in their face or may reject them. It's this urge. They have something to tell you. They have something that they want to express, but they're uncertain how you will receive them. They also say, you are my soul's greatest love. So again, that idea of birds of a feather, two of your souls being very entwined, you being an extension of one another in the flesh. They have come to this awareness. They may have been avoiding that for quite some time. It feels that it was almost instant recognition of that, but they lacked almost the kind of the energetic awareness, maybe even the spiritual awareness. Maybe they had no kind of concrete beliefs or knowledge about soulmates or soul connections, which is often the case when one is sort of thrust into that kind of twin flame journey, the ascension journey, the spiritual awakening. Oftentimes we don't have background in these things. If we know about maybe the term soulmate, it's just something, it's very much like a fairy tale, like a fantasy, something that, the movies really kind of build up for us. We have a very kind of linear, finite understanding of that. These ideas about, the happily ever after, and kind of this very linear path to get there with a few bumps and bruises along the way, but then it's kind of like all works out in the end. Deep soul connections often turn that definition upside down. It's a lot more arduous. It's definitely a journey into self first and foremost, coming to that happily ever after of loving yourself fully for who you are, taking that power back, becoming that love you wish to experience. And sometimes it works out between you and that deep soul connection in a material sense. Two people have done the work and you're a vibrational match. Oftentimes that is not the case though, or it doesn't happen in the time and manner that we may have hoped that it would. Sort of the purpose of the connection, it goes beyond that element of romance. It is that catalyst that leads us home to ourselves first and foremost. It is growth in that capacity. The romantic dynamic being just the cherry on the cake. You being the cake, you being the goal, that journey into self, that journey of love, that ultimate story of romance is romancing yourself, learning to find that love, become that love you are seeking, loving yourself enough to, set those healthy boundaries, to reimagine your life, to move away from anything that doesn't fit and serve who you discover yourself to be during that journey of introspection, during that shadow work and that process of healing, allowing yourself to kind of reinvent yourself, or, kind of emerge or go through these processes of, redefinition as many times as necessary, stepping into this place of fluidity and out of kind of concrete definitions of self, and of the nature of existence, and even love and all relationships that we have, people that cross our paths. It's this energy of fluidity and expansiveness. And this person definitely is coming to that awareness, perhaps not consciously. For some of you, this will be very consciously. This is somebody who is actively engaging in that kind of spiritual journey, spiritual path. They may be, a little further behind than you in terms of their development, in terms of the point of surrender, or they are perceiving themselves to be that way. They're still in that energy of polarization, rather than recognizing that, the element, the nature of the yin to the yang is that you balance out each other's kind of virtues and deficits. They're still kind of looking at it a little bit like this or that, like a competitive energy, that two of you must be, on completely equal playing field in order for this to work. It's part of the task of that faith and that trust, trusting, to kind of move beyond the fear, sensing the fear and walking through that fire anyway. But they are recognizing this connection as really having awoken something within them, really propelling them onto the journey of the actualization of their greatest purpose, helping them to kind of take the steps necessary to reimagine their life in a way that they might not have done otherwise, or didn't know was possible or necessary. And they also say, healing karmic wounds. It's not abandonment. One day I will return. So that really ties in with that journey that this person has been on, coming full circle, moving out of that energy of evading and running from this connection, and now they are moving towards you. That idea of the return, it ties in with this kind of Knight of Pentacles who's just sort of lingering there, just kind of putting the feelers out, lurking on the outskirts, wanting to step back into this, wanting to step towards you, wanting to step into the light of this situation, to at least explore the possibility of what could happen, the forgiveness that might be waiting there on the other side of that offer. If it's rejection that waits there on the other side of that offer, being again directed to forgiveness of self, moving forward, keeping that infallible love within them is kind of a cornerstone as a fuel, understanding that, no matter what happens in a 3D sense, the two of you are bonded on the higher self, on the 5D, from those kind of higher vibrations and levels. Again, coming to that awareness that this journey, this process is really a journey to self first and foremost, to become that love which one is seeking, love which allows rather than love which is conditional. And they also say, I hear your thoughts, you hear mine. Cosmic love links us together. So a lot of telepathy could be going on right now as this person is kind of lurking on the outskirts of your life, on the peripheral of your energy. They may be kind of sending love from afar, sending these loving thoughts. That can be that energy, the feelers that they're putting out there, seeing how you respond, if there's any reaction, maybe watching your social media to see, did these messages get through? Sensing into what is happening energetically, whether you are receptive or they're feeling these things kind of rebounding towards them. A lot of thoughts that are happening right now, a lot of strategizing and planning, a desire to kind of make a move towards you, to evolve this connection in some way, to bring it up out of kind of a dormancy, and to, potentially re-spark something between the both of you. Maybe starting small, maybe starting as friends and kind of working toward that, reacclimating to one another energetically. But this is the energy of momentum. Somebody who's had kind of a change of mind, a change of heart, somebody who sees things, sees this connection, sees you from a different perspective, that they were either not spiritually or emotionally mature enough to recognize before, or it's something that has really come with kind of this journey within self. They now have the eyes to see and value something different than what was kind of their priority before. And as they have come to really know themselves, they've done that journey within, they've done that work within, they've aligned more with their purpose. They are seeing you with fresh eyes. They are recognizing within you something they couldn't see before, or kind of both of you on this tandem process of really taking your power back, cultivating an abundance mindset, working towards your higher purpose, creating a life you're excited about that resonates with who you are at your core, at your most authentic self, your most authentic level. This person recognizes you on this similar path, is very impressed with how you have done this, on how you've kind of turned things around or shifted your life in some way. And it's really drawing them to, give more to this connection, where in the past they may have been kind of overwhelmed and sort of moved away from this, or put up some kind of blocks or barriers. So I'm going to get some guidance for you, group 3, about the situation. Okay, and we have anger. Safely express your anger. Use anger as a positive force. Honor all of your emotions as sacred. So that's the second time that we're seeing anger come up here. And it's bringing to mind this idea of sacred rage. There may be some kind of untapped portion of yourself that you have been kind of avoiding, trying to move too much into that energy of not focusing on that, trying to, maybe looking at anger as almost a tie that binds you to this person. And it's very appropriate to want to take your power back. But there's some tether that still exists, something you are not tapping into or not acknowledging. You may have been focusing too much on the energy of loss, too much on kind of pedestalizing this person, looking at this connection as kind of the epitome of what you have known love to be. And there's an element of anger that exists within you that needs some kind of an outlet. Anger is an energy. It doesn't need to be destructive. We can channel this into very creative things. This can be expressed through art, through music. through writing, even through dance, not even anything that you are sharing with anybody else, journaling, writing a letter to this person that just gets out all that dense feeling, all that resentment, all that heaviness that you hold within, and then burning and releasing that, scattering the ashes or burying them, imploring the universe to help you transmute this. In some way, this kind of residual anger, some vein of this that you have not tapped into, or that this person is even kind of perceiving within you that you may have been avoiding within yourself. It's almost the very necessary, not that it's a condition of this person kind of coming back in, nor should it be approached from that perspective. When we do work with the intention, or we set any kind of goal with the intention of doing it for somebody else, for something exterior to ourselves, the results that we experience and the longevity and the stability of that is often tenuous, because it's dependent upon the actions of another individual or circumstances, conditions outside of ourselves. This is all about going within, finding that shadow, digging deeper beneath the roots, addressing some of the more difficult things that, maybe we haven't been willing to face. Maybe we've been trying to kind of keep our vibration high, to be in this very open and receptive energy, creating this nest of love within ourselves and within our energy to invite this person back in. And it's been at a disservice. It has not been honoring our full range of emotions, that in some way there is an element of anger that must be addressed, even if it's just addressed, singularly. This doesn't mean sitting in the energy of anger, allowing that to infuse you and kind of hold you down and embitter you. It's about tapping into that. It's about recognizing that, honoring that frustration that, maybe this person took you for granted, that this person didn't value you, that this person only saw obstacles and didn't recognize that potential, or moved with the energy of fear into, that realm that took them away from you, rather than being courageous and following their heart. Sacrifices you may have made, the ways in which this connection and this experience has really upended your life. You need to honor that anger within yourself. But then if you also on the other side have been sitting too much in that, you've been dwelling too much in that, it's time to free yourself from that. It's time to acknowledge that and release that in a very profound way, and in a very healthy way. There may have almost been circumstances where this anger was coming out in unhealthy or distorted aspects. Maybe a lot of outward bitterness toward this person, a seething energy. Maybe you're taking this out on people around you. Maybe you really have turned this anger inward. You've been attacking yourself. You've been really feeling you are culpable somehow. You are to blame for this circumstance, that you're not enough. You've been letting this person off the hook almost too much, and taking responsibility for aspects that really are their burden to bear. This is their kind of cross to bear. This is something that they need to, make right. They need to make right within themselves. You do not owe it to this person or to this connection to carry that full burden of responsibility. You may have been more conscious of this, more willing to sort of step into this, more willing to put your heart out there only to face rejection. But any anger that you've sort of directed inward, about, maybe speaking your feelings when you should have kept silent, coming on too strong, chasing this person when you should have valued yourself. These are all forms of anger that again are misdirected. In some way, this person needs to take responsibility for that. In some ways, how you are kind of internalizing this, you're taking too much of that onto yourself. You're kind of standing in the way or holding yourself down from kind of stepping into that higher vibration, to experiencing that release you've been searching for. For a lot of you, if you're having a problem really letting go of this, moving forward, kind of releasing this, it's because of that tether of anger, because of the ways in which you are blaming yourself. You're not placing enough blame, or even for some of you, too much blame is being placed on this person, and you need to start taking some responsibility for kind of your role in things. And this doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you ruin things or you mess things up, but coming into that place of forgiveness where each person, has a role in this. Neither of you got to this place on your own. You both sort of led and followed one another in different ways to where you find yourselves now. each person kind of being assigned their adequate portion of that responsibility. No one feeling the need to kind of take on all the burden and becoming resentful or angry, finding a healthy and productive way to kind of extract this from you, give it a voice, some kind of expression. Maybe this is, you exercise, you run, you just kind of purge that energetically from you. Maybe it's, again, you write about this, you write poetry, you write a letter to this person and burn it and release it. Maybe it transfers out into music that you create, or songs that you are singing, just a way, almost like a primal scream therapy, to just kind of harness that, where that sort of anger sits deeply in kind of the root and the sacral chakra, bringing it down from where it kind of is this lamentation in the heart, up through the solar plexus, that sense of empowerment. You give it a voice, you give it a form, and you're singing along with something. It doesn't even need to be angry music. It can just be anything that you feel very emotional about, with the intention of harnessing this energy, gathering this energy, and extracting it from yourself, freeing yourself from that, releasing yourself from that heaviness. Maybe it's artwork, again, just kind of those archetypes, those feelings, transfer out into the creative form, something you do with your hands, something that you create. Moving forward beyond this, stepping into that energy of forgiveness for self, first and foremost, can really have a ripple effect on this person to continue that process of taking responsibility, working toward forgiveness of themselves as well. If this is someone you would consider reconciliation with, then this anger is a very necessary kind of threshold that the two of you are both needing to sort of step beyond, something you've been avoiding or have been kind of looking at from a stance of distortion. If this is someone you wouldn't entertain the possibility of reconciliation with, there's still almost a lot of misplaced anger, or it's not kind of adequately portioned out. Only you will know after a period of introspection, and it's often not what first comes to mind. We often need to kind of sort of look at that mirror image, dig a little bit deeper, and kind of look at it from all angles, to really sort of shine a light on that kind of shadow within us. Honor that space of sacred rage that we hold within, that heartbreak that we hold within, that feeling of betrayal that we hold within, and to honor that as an experience that we have had, and then release that. Understand that the past doesn't need to dictate our future, and to really make a commitment to ourselves that we will not be bound by that any further. Again, anger is an energy, and it can really help in a lot of ways to propel you toward that next step of your ascension, toward aligning more with kind of your highest good. That anger is also, it really stems from a place within you where you should have been treated better, you should have experienced better, you should have demanded better for yourself and didn't. It's that voice that wasn't expressed or wasn't heard or wasn't honored. So at this point in time, honoring that in whatever way you feel drawn to do can be very cathartic for you, and can really help to propel you in the next stage for yourself and what is possible in this connection. So I'm going to get some initials for you, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got C, Y, L, V, Q, J, O, P, S, F, H, R, B, and X. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer pre-recorded video readings that are sent to you as a private YouTube link. Turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.